me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already packed, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in Gravity Falls. Welcome to Mystery Shack Look Back, a nostalgic time capsule and no spoiler book club of the original Gravity Falls fandom. We are your curators. I'm Ella, aka Ghost Toes Jackson.
I'm Charlie, aka the person who apparently deleted the word Ella and replaced it with Ghost Toes Jackson at some point last night.
Yeah!
Do you like your new nickname?
I love it, Charlie.
What does it mean?
I don't know. And you don't know either.
No. It's not my problem is the thing. Things that I come up with, that's none of my business.
Charlie, what episode of the Disney television animation program Gravity Falls are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 19, Dream... Oh, wait, nope. Sorry. Got my notes confused there. We are talking about Season 1, Episode 14. And it's called Bottomless Pit! It premiered March 1st, 2013 on the Disney Channel. It was directed by Aaron Springer and Joe Pitt, and written by Alex Hirsch and Michael Rianda.
For starters, before we even watch the episode, yes, there is an exclamation point in the title. The exclamation point is retained on Disney Plus and on the wiki and in most places. I just love that. I think that's fun.
Is it on the DVD?
It must be, right? Because if...
well, let's find out. Ain't no time like the present. Hang on a second. I got the DVD in front of me. I haven't opened it yet, actually. We are now witnessing a podcast unboxing.
Ooh.
So... All right, 100% confirmed. The exclamation point is on the DVD case. Now wait just a moment, Ella.
Is it on the DVD menu?
I'm gonna waste your time some more, I've decided. I'll edit this down, obviously.
No, you're just wasting my time, not the viewer's time.
No, I would never waste the viewer's time.
Yeah.
All right, disc 3 has been inserted. Okay, episodes. Ah! Ella! You want to take a guess?
I'm guessing it's there.
Survey says...
You have a bell.
Oh. It's there!
Yay!
All right, well now I have this play episode and play episode with commentary button in front of me.
All right, awesome.
Which one should I click?
Friday, March 1st.
It's some sort of invisible pushing force. Everyone back to the shack!
One fall down the bottomless pit.
Where are we?
We're somewhere where it looks like we're nowhere.
Go on.
Leads to 3 terrifying tales.
You guys all made fun of my old voice.
Hilarious!
Questions will be asked.
Are either of you good at making annoying noises?
My time has come.
Some will stay unanswered.
The doctors assigned me a seeing eye bear.
Wait, what? Did you expect anything else in Gravity Falls?
How does it end?
All new, Friday, March 1st at 9, 8 Central on Disney Channel.
So that was Bottomless Pit! Exclamation point.
Oh, I'm gonna say it this time, actually.
Okay, right. Yes.
So that was Bottomless Pit! Exclamation point.
Oh, good delivery.
Thank you. I learned it from a friend.
Aw.
I learned it from watching you!
Yeah, I learned it from watching you. This is your brain on Bottomless Pit.
That was a great episode of Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah, it was a great Simpsons episode. This is an anthology episode. We got 3 stories in here, and I love the history behind this episode's production. The crew was feeling very overwhelmed, and so the producer, or one of the producers, suggested a bottle episode, which is an episode that takes place in one location, and, you know, it would economize on backgrounds and on workload. And so the original idea for the script was to take place completely in the bottomless pit. It would just be this black void that Stan and Dipper and Mabel and Seuss fall into.
And that turned into an anthology episode, because what are they going to do with no background for 22
stories,
minutes? Yeah.
And but the decision to have 3 short stories, some with completely new locations,
meant 3 new background, or at least 3 new backgrounds, new character designs. It did not work as a bottle episode at all.
It almost completely defeated the original purpose of the episode.
Yeah, because they have to design 4 Mabel sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
One for when she's falling and one for each story.
The idea of the anthology episode grew from a separate idea for an unused episode that was like going to deconstruct the idea of creepy twins and all that stuff. But that fell through, and so there was a hole in the schedule and they needed an episode. And so, all right, why don't we just tell 3 short stories, right?
And Rob Renzetti did not think that this made sense within the universe of the show.
Yeah, he basically believed that that's a thing that you do in, like, your 8th season, not your 1st.
And Alex Hirsch and Michael Rianda were the ones telling Rob, well, we gotta meet the deadline.
Right, which I think is fascinating, kind of an ironic twist.
And before we get into each individual segment, we feel it worth pointing out Stan's fez has a new design.
That's true. Stan, the little symbol on his fez, has changed as of this episode. Originally, it was just sort of a crescent shape. In the pilot, Grunkle Stan's fez design was almost identical to the crescent moon symbol in Islam, and that was changed to just be the crescent without the star. And now it has changed even more, and now it just kind of...
It's a combination of a goldfish cracker and Pac-Man now. There was probably going to be some theories about that fez coming up, but we'll get to that. First, we have 3 stories to talk about.
A story I'd like to call Voiceover.
So this is the one that features the celebrity guest, quote-unquote, of the episode.
Oh my god, he's fantastic.
It's A. Smith Harrison, who... I've never heard Alex talk about why he hired him, but that doesn't matter, I know. Because I know Alex is a big fan of Justin Roiland, and that's why he voiced Blendon Blandon. And I know that he was a big fan of Justin Roiland's podcast, and that's why his co-host, Jackie Buscarino, voices Pacifica Northwest.
Alex Hirsch, who was a fan of the podcast.
So A. Smith Harrison is the announcer from that podcast, the Grandma's Virginity podcast. And every episode opens with something of a clip show where he teases what is to come in the raw recording.
Live from InsideTheInternet.com, www.com. It's the Grandma's Virginity Podcast. In this episode, TJ Miller tells us how Yogi Bear pushed him to the brink. Flapjack creator Thurup Von Orman stops by and belts out a tune.
And he's basically just doing that exact voice in this segment.
What gives, man? You guys all made fun of my old voice. I thought you'd like the new one.
Dude, at least before you sounded like a real person. Now you sound like some kind of weird commercial dude.
I'll find Stan. He'll like my new voice. You'll see. I'll be right back after these messages. I mean, goodbye.
The conflict here is that Dipper feels insecure about a part of his body. We've never done that one before.
Yeah, he keeps getting these episodes, huh?
I know, yeah. I mean, he's got voice dysphoria, which right there is more support for Dipper being trans.
We both have pretty squeaky voices.
Mm-hmm.
Has that ever been a point of discomfort with you?
As far as it not feeling masculine, I don't think so. I mean,
Have you been teased for it, and then that made you insecure?
Probably. I'm sure somewhere down the line it happened. I feel like now I feel it in kind of the reverse, because I'm... voice training is hard. Taking estrogen, HRT, does not change your voice in the way that taking testosterone does. So a lot of trans women just voice train to get their voice to a place that they are more comfortable with. And that's really hard. And so a lot of times I'm just like, it's fine. It's already kind of a squeaky, weird thing, so...
All right, well... I got a story here, actually, and I even have clips to prove it.
Yes.
I have a lot of clips from my 13th birthday party. So I could demonstrate this, but you can hear it now with my voice, where when I get excited, it gets higher pitched.
On the floor, $10, yep.
And then when I get sarcastic, it kind of comes from this side of my mouth.
Come again.
And yeah, I got made fun of for that a lot. It was a huge thing in middle school to just repeat what I said in a falsetto voice.
Ugh.
A lot of people did that. I would be like, I have a question. And then they'd go, I have a question.
Oh boy.
So this is, I know I've talked about Dipper's journey being paralleling my own, but oh man, this when they announced that it was this one, I was like, oh, this is an uncomfortable one because I do not like that remix. That's bullying. I know it. They at the end say, well, because your voice is so unique. That doesn't really make up for it for me.
Yeah, but they also ignore the fact that Dipper got apparently bitten by a snake in favor of making fun of his voice, which is cruel.
Weird to see Seuss being cruel.
Yeah. And Wendy, to be honest, I feel like she respects Dipper, and it's a weird,
So...
You know, I guess you can kind of hand-wave it away as like, well, it's a story that he's telling. It's not actually canon, but...
So within the past 365 days, I have made $15,000 from YouTube. The majority of the voice work I have done in the videos that made the majority of that money was Dipper! So this is a fascinating change my life has gone through from being 12 and mocked for my voice squeaking to making a living voicing a squeaky-voiced 12-year-old who gets mocked for their voice.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like for as insecure as we may sometimes be about our voices, if you're listening to this now, you've heard our voices for, you know, at least a good couple minutes, so you're still here.
I'm actually not insecure about my voice at all. I would actually say I'm like negative insecure about my voice at this point in my life.
Well, that's good.
Because I have an app called YouTube Studio, and when I click it, usually the first thing I see is a bunch of strangers saying they like my voice.
That's a good point.
And I get that all day, every day.
Yeah, very good point.
So, yeah, how many times do you have to receive a compliment before you're like, well, maybe that's just me?
So, we see Old Man McGucket in a major role again for the first time since episode 2, Legend of the Gobblewonker, which I never really noticed until this rewatch for the podcast, because we said in our Gobblewonker episode that McGucket was not really intended to come back.
And so Dipper has this moment of, wait, I remember you. And it's like, you've walked past him several times since Gobblewonker. You're just like, who is that?
Yeah, in the intervening episodes, he makes these little cameos and kind of joke appearances, and I think...
You think this is when they fully accepted, fine, he's a character.
Yeah, I think it definitely supports the idea that while they were writing those cameos, it was only because the network was like, we love McGucket, get McGucket in there more. And maybe they didn't have the opportunity to actually make him a major part of a story until this episode was being written. So McGucket, continuing his role as a hillbilly inventor.
Yeah. This is the first time him as an inventor has come back since Gobblewonker.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem to be his thing between then. Why did you write how you diddly doing, Seuss?
Because that's an okay, right. Because, so, McGucket gives Dipper a voice-altering tonic that makes his voice A. Smith Harrison's voice. And the line that I can't get out of my head is the way he says,
"How you diddly doing, Seuss?"
Flanders.
Yeah, but said in a very not Flanders voice, and...
It's weird.
You could tell that they're just relishing the clash of that voice coming out of Dipper's design, because they go all in on the animation with a few lines. You just gotta play the I Sound Awesome clip, like...
I sound awesome. Sound awesome.
What does Tat say to him?
Yeah, he says, like... Because he prank calls the bouncer at the skull fracture bar. And when Tats catches him, he says...
You're the guy who prank called me earlier!
No, I'm not. I'm just a 12-year-old boy.
You expect me to believe that, you crazy voice punk?
You crazy voice. I love crazy voice.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, yeah, it doesn't make sense that that voice is coming out of the child. It's crazy.
They just love, like, they milk it for everything, because he's like, no, I'm just a 12-year-old boy.
I feel like the writing on this one was Alex writing things he wanted to hear the Grandma's Virginity announcer say.
Absolutely, and it totally works.
Like Mabel writing things she wanted to hear Rumble McSkirmish say.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my god, A. Smith Harrison, love the podcast. Can you just say these words for me? escape.
Yeah, but the fact that it makes such an impression and like is basically used for all of its worth comedically in such little time is really impressive to me. Hello, I'm the President of the United States. And it ends on a pretty nice note, I think.
Oh, what note?
More of a C sharp.
Okay, so that's like
Sure.
I don't actually know what a C sharp is.
Yeah, it's kind of like the moral of Dipper versus manliness.
It's kind of like that moral that Dipper keeps learning. Dipper's learned for the third time now.
Yeah, I feel like they could go further in deconstructing, like, well, why am I being made to feel insecure about this in the first place? Like, you know, Dipper versus manliness is like, oh, well, you're manly in your own way, but it's also, there's a bigger question you could ask, which is like, why are we valuing, you know, this kind of, why do I only have to feel like I have worth if I have these, like, certain qualities? But they don't really have time to get into that, I guess.
Because it's time to get into
a pinball machine?
Okay, this story is called Seuss's Really Great Pinball Story. Is that a good title? They have to be like puns or whatever?
It is a good title, Seuss. So this is kind of our first really Seuss-focused story. We get to see his thoughts and his values a little bit closer. I think he's definitely the protagonist.
What values? What values does this show that Seuss holds dear?
That he likes getting high scores and he likes eating pizza out of VCRs. And he cares about his friends.
And he likes pinball wenches.
Yeah, he does have a type. I know that they tried so hard not to have to go all out on the backgrounds and the props, but I'm glad they did because the pinball machine is just a really fun location.
I haven't seen this explored in anything else.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like going into a video game, but not really going into a pinball machine. And a pinball machine is great because it's a physical machine. You know, you're not going into a screen.
Yeah, somewhere between Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Tron lives entering a pinball machine and almost getting hit with a big silver ball.
I do like it as an exploration of Seuss. I think for as much as we know about him right now, letting him be the protagonist of, you know, a 6-minute story is a pretty good place for him to be.
The first time he is responsible for the location of the episode is Fight Fighters, when he takes them all to the arcade.
That's true.
Video games seem to consistently be a core value of Seuss's.
I love that for him.
Or videos juegos.
Yes. It's a pretty relatable arc he has here, where he really wants to preserve the high score that he got on this game because, like, I don't know, it's a point of pride, and they're also a very fleeting thing because someone could get more points or something could happen to the game, and it's like, I worked hard to get my name up there. I want to keep it there. And especially for Seuss, it's like, I do genuinely think it's a nice peek into his emotions, because he doesn't, like...
He doesn't really care about mortality at all.
Yeah, but he also doesn't, like... He has this kind of insecurity, I guess, where he doesn't feel that he has done that much. And most of the time he seems pretty comfortable with that.
He seems to be written like he's in his early 20s, so that's, very relatable.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, one of his establishing moments is like, nobody asked you, Seuss. I know, I'm comfortable with that. But here it's a little peek into like, well, I haven't really done much with my life at this point, so I kinda really, really want to keep this high score.
Someday, though. Someday.
John
DiMaggio, who is basically a series regular at this point, he mostly voices, Manly Dan Corduroy, the lumberjack, Wendy's father. But I think this is... Well, no, he was some Manitars, but this is the first time where it's like... And now he is a second character, but rather than just doing, like, background work.
Yeah, I think he really gets to shine here.
Yeah! It's, it reminds me of why, you know, everyone loves Bender and his other performances from Futurama, is he's the wild card of the voice acting industry, Ella.
He plays this cowboy skull who lives in the pinball game and is very scrupulous about cheating. I just love the, like...
I'm not done teaching you a lesson about cheating yet!
Like, he does try to kill them, but it's just to teach them that, like, you shouldn't cheat. They tilt the pinball machine, and he doesn't like that.
This is all based on the idea that later pinball machines are built in with a tilt sensor that penalizes you if you tilt.
Yeah, but this one says, quit tilting, partner. So how could you resist not tilting it? Because you want to hear that voice clip.
Every single sentence he says has a cowboy word in it. They throw in a
that is true.
or an ifin.
Yep, a darn it.
He says,
Get ready to meet your maker, kids! My maker is Ballway Games in Redmond, Washington.
Ballway is a reference to Midway, which is a popular arcade manufacturer. And Redmond, Washington is just straight up where Nintendo of America is. I have no doubt in my mind that the reason that Alex or Michael wrote that in there is because it's on the back of every Nintendo product.
Mm-hmm. I think this cowboy skeleton, again, in the brief time that we get to see him, might be one of the funniest antagonists in the show, just because every line he says hits, and it's partly because of John DiMaggio.
I think it's also, in the 22-minute episodes, we've stated that every villain gets a chance to be funny and scary, especially Gideon and the Submarine Trickster.
Mm-hmm.
In this brief little segment, it's just like, all right, he's just funny, it's fine.
He gets a little bit of a threat moment, I think.
But I don't think anyone's had nightmares about him. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, you're so wrong. That cowboy skeleton. But yeah, it's a combination of the way he's written and John DiMaggio's performance.
He's very loud, and that sells the performance because there's this confidence to the things he's saying and didn't write.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a very obvious character, and that's why he works so well, or it's like Dipper and Mabel are distracting him so Seuss can shut down the game, and he's like...
Something ain't right here.
Distraction! Distraction!
Let me see where this is going.
I also like the quality of the graveliness to it, because I recently worked at a Wild West theme park,
mm-hmm.
and we were understaffed, so I had to switch between good guys and bad guys. And myself and everyone else who did the accent, when they were a good guy, they would talk more like this. And when they were a bad guy...
Yeah, gotta add the gravel.
Bad.
Yeah, so in the end, Seuss learns another lesson or something. I don't know.
Yeah. The next segment we have on here is...
Grunkle Stan wins the football bowl.
So this is one of the funniest things in the entire show, period.
It's just a very brief clip. It's like a minute long, and they just kind of... It ends very quickly. It has a very quick ramp up to the conclusion, and Grunkle Stan is confused why no one is impressed with it.
Yeah. And again, there is so much rapid fire humor in this episode where every line is like some cliche.
There's no padding because there have to be 4 stories. Whatever jokes they come up with have to be in rapid succession, versus when you're writing Summerween and have to come up with Halloween jokes. You're like, oh, here would be a good point in the episode.
You can see the strings of like where they have to like tell actual stories. Like you can really pick out the specific moment in each episode where like, oh, the protagonist has to make a choice between the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. Like there are very distinct moments in all 3 of these stories. I think for as visible as the connective tissue of the story stuff is, the jokes make up for that in a big way.
I love Football Bowl. I'm wondering if that was a note from Legal or just the first joke they wrote.
It sounds like something Alex Hirsch would write or one of the people would write. It definitely.
But also, legally, you cannot say Super Bowl. I mean...
What? Oh my god, they're here. Oh no. The football police. Yeah, so there's to start with, Football Bowl. There's Grunkle Stan does this very fun end zone dance. And then...
There's a character just named Beautiful Woman.
Yeah, but Beautiful Woman is great. The football players who learn a lesson.
Who apologize for mocking old people.
The gloating friends, which is a fantastic voice. And Grunkle Stan, of course, couldn't have done it without his sidekick Footbot.
Who calls Stan Daddy.
Yes. Yeah. something I did not notice until this rewatch because of the captions on Disney Plus is that after everyone's booing Stan's terrible story, Seuss says, "No, incredulous."
Boo! Come on!
Incredulous.
Incredulous.
I, for one, think that Seuss and the kids are too hard on Stan for his story. I think he tells a very sweeping narrative in not very much time, and I defy anyone. You know, it is on par for me with For Sale Baby Shoes Never Worn in how quick and effective it is. But then I guess this is just the equivalent of that, but more of an inspirational, Remember the Titans-esque,
or what's
sports drama.
What's that? Rudy or whatever.
What?
Rudy?
Rudy?
You don't know about the film Rudy?
Rudy?
Rudy is... Well, okay, so there's a joke in something, but apparently it's a common joke because it's in a lot of articles, that watching the film Rudy is one of the only appropriate times for a man to cry.
Interesting.
Rudy, the character, is not particularly qualified to play football.
Yeah.
So I saw someone, I think on TikTok, analyzing, like, it speaks volumes that they think you're only allowed to cry at the story of someone unqualified to play football wishing they could play football.
Oh, so you do think, maybe is Grunkle Stan one of those dudes who, like,
that's what I'm
cried
saying,
at
is
Rudy?
if he's constantly pushing masculinity.
Yeah. He's like, people think old folks can't play football, but I can win the football ball if they'd let me try. I wonder, so here's my question. So Footbot is clearly designed to play football. He only has legs, and they're very good at kicking. What did he play on the team? Because he says sidekick, not teammate. He doesn't look like he was on. He doesn't look like he was playing. Footbot, what is your role in this story?
Okay, it's his training robot that came with him as moral support.
Okay, yeah, but he it's kind of a mentor, but also a son.
Yeah. He built a son to help him practice for the football bowl.
Yeah, that was his act 2. The act 1 was getting shunned by the gloating football players who think that old folks can't play football.
This is just Rudy.
It is just Rudy, but it's better because it's quicker.
You are too female to have even heard of Rudy.
You're right.
I'm non-binary, so I'm half familiar with Rudy.
Yeah, Grunkle Stan Wins the Football Bowl is better than Rudy. If Rudy has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, Grunkle Stan Wins the Football Bowl has a 100% certified fresh. Not only is it more concise, but it has a talking robot for the kids.
I would even go as far to say they say that Rudy is one of the only times a man is allowed to cry. If you cry at Rudy and not Grunkle Stan Wins the Football Bowl...
Are you a real man?
Are you a real man?
I'm not sure.
We're not experts. We're asking.
No. We actually failed pretty miraculously at
we're just we're not, this is not
a judgment. No.
Are you a real man? Like, we don't know.
Oh wow, Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau?
Rudy. He's in Rudy. So is Ned Beatty.
And Sean Astin.
Mm-hmm.
Samwise.
Yeah.
I can't carry the football, but I can carry you.
I can't carry the football.
Yeah. No! I'm down! I can't move! Help me, Footbot! I cannot carry the football, but I can carry you.
This is a good episode. And the final segment of this episode is...
a story called True Fake.
Okay, let's just get right into it. So... whatever. I don't really care about this story. Mabel is tired of Stan lying, so she gets some magic teeth so he can't lie. I have so many questions.
Spaghetti Gate!
Yes, this is Spaghetti Gate. Are we ready?
Also known as spaghetti.
I know last week we had a big thing about the existence or lack thereof of Tommy Rahard. And this week I'm going to pull out my own conspiracy board here because so there's a scene where Stan is demonstrating that sometimes you have to lie for the greater good.
There is an establishing shot in which we see there is no spaghetti in front of him. Then he reaches off screen in a mid shot and pulls spaghetti from somewhere.
Yeah, he pulls a plate of spaghetti from nowhere. One plate of spaghetti. Dipper walks into the room and says, hey, have you guys seen my plate of spaghetti? So, off the bat, why did Dipper just have a plate of spaghetti? Because, you make a pot of spaghetti and then you serve it on a plate. Where is the rest of it?
Ella, you've never lived alone. The way I do things is I actually measure the pasta out on the plate before I put it in the boiling water to make sure I'm only preparing one serving.
But as you pointed out, Grunkle Stan is the adult who presumably does the cooking.
He does. I mean, we've seen him cook several. We've seen him cook pancakes, and we've seen him.
Where's the rest of it, and who made it? And
I think Dipper made a single plate of spaghetti for himself, and then left it out to cool, Ella.
Okay, and that's a theory, but I'm only one bullet point down here because why did Stan steal a plate of spaghetti, and how did Stan steal a plate of spaghetti? Am I to believe that Dipper set down his plate of spaghetti and left the room long enough for Stan to take it unnoticed? How do you lose spaghetti?
Nope, it happened to me earlier today. I can tell you, I can abide by this, Ella. Earlier today, I wanted to melt some cheese on the pasta that had just come out of boiling water. But it didn't just melt from the heat of the pasta alone, so I had to put the hot pasta in the microwave. And then it was way too hot to eat, and also I had to go to the bathroom. So I was like, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone.
I think, is it sort of I'm imagining the spaghetti steam kind of wafting into Stan's nostrils, and he kind of flutters over to it. And then there's when Stan blames Seuss for eating the spaghetti as he has spaghetti sauce on his mouth. So Dipper, granted, very funny that he falls for it, but uncharacteristically gullible, but also just nods sagely and says, "This is a dark day."
That's good.
Like, what is he planning to do to Seuss?
And also, why is Dipper eating a meal at a different time than the rest of the household?
Than everyone else.
I make a single plate of spaghetti because my roommates and I make no effort to eat meals together. We see Mabel, Dipper, and Stan eating a meal together that Stan has prepared in this
within the same
short
segment. Yeah. And the fact that just calling it, have you seen my plate of spaghetti? Like, it's just a thing that he has that they know that he had, like, oh. And then Mabel later is like, what happened to Dipper's spaghetti plate? Like,
all right, Ella! I've pieced it together.
Okay, what is it?
Dipper.
Yes.
Was busy with something and missed lunch.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
They all ate lunch together. He was doing some Dipper thing.
Doing some journal thing, yeah.
He's really hungry. He comes down and says, hey, are there any leftovers? Everyone's like, no, we all finished it. So he's like, okay, I guess I'll just boil 1 serving of spaghetti then. Okay. Now.
Yeah, all right.
All right. So Dipper prefers his sauce heated. Some people use the cold sauce on the spaghetti to.
Yeah, but now, like you were saying, it needed to cool after he put it in the microwave.
Puts it in the microwave. All right. But then the spaghetti was hot. The sauce is now warm.
Yeah, this is our forensics investigation.
Okay.
Here.
So then Dipper, realizing he can't eat the spaghetti now, and he has something to do, we'll just say going to the bathroom, it's quick.
Yeah, and then Stan, he flutters in on the wing of the steam.
Stan has very little standards on what constitutes mealtime.
He openly admits that he does not care for people's possessions or emotions. I think also, Dipper must have, like, announced to everyone, like, hey, I'm gonna eat this plate of spaghetti, because everyone recognizes it as Dipper's plate of spaghetti.
So I think Dipper asked if there was any lunch left over after he missed lunch.
Yeah, okay,
and that's why I was like, all right, I guess I'll just make myself a plate of spaghetti.
Above all, though, that's a very compelling case. I will accept that tentatively. But overall, this is just a really weird example from a story standpoint to help establish Stan's lying problem, and I kind of love it, because the plate of spaghetti it doesn't feel very Gravity Fallsy, but it also isn't, it's weird, but it's not so weird that it becomes absurd and funny. Like, it's not that funny, but that's why I love it so much, because they could have...
he could have literally taken
anything to establish that he's a pathological liar. Anything could have been stolen.
A pen from Dipper.
Yeah, and they picked a plate of spaghetti.
I love also that Dipper, a 12-year-old making a meal for himself, puts meatballs in
Yeah.
it. Like that's cooking separately from the pasta. That's like some prep work.
Yeah. He must have been very proud of it, which is why he was so upset when it got...
Maybe Dipper missed lunch and so heated up a leftover plate and then put it in the microwave
I
too
have
long?
no idea. But I think this is the only time that anyone eats spaghetti on Gravity Falls, which is why it feels so out of place.
My favorite thing in this segment is Honey Pants.
Yeah.
Honey Pants is a bear that Stan is teaching to drive a car. Here's the crazy thing. I don't think Honey Pants is terrible at it.
No. Considering she's a bear being taught by Stan.
Honey Pants is swerving back and forth on the road, but on the road. Honey Pants never veers off road.
Honey Pants drives better than Stan does. Stan drove right through a guardrail.
But with these cataracts, I might as well be.
Yeah, I think her bear eyesight is better than Stan's.
Also, when he says go, Honey Pants immediately, without hesitation, puts the 1 foot on the gas pedal.
Mm-hmm.
So Honey Pants knows the difference between the gas pedal and the brake and can understand when she's being instructed to use one.
Yeah. Yeah, she's fantastic. I love Honey Pants. Do you call Honey Pants?
Oh, I should. My rabbit's name is Honey. We also were obsessed with Honey Pants' voice.
Yeah. There's a particular roar, I think right as they're driving off, that just sounds kind of pained.
I love how Stan doesn't care at all about this.
No.
Like, it's a reference to Liar Liar,
Mm-hmm.
but in Liar Liar, Jim Carrey is very upset that he can't lie.
Yeah.
Stan doesn't give a shit at all.
No.
He's never like, I mean, even when he is, why did I say that? He's like,
whatever, back to sleep. See, that's, I think, definitely, like in Boss Mabel, knowing that these are lighter episodes, they really went the extra mile with the jokes.
Why are they releasing some lighter episodes, Ella? Why do you think? What's about to happen?
I don't know. Why don't we go think about that for a little bit? We do have our special space where we kind of meditate.
In our thinking spot? Are we Winnie the Pooh now? Oh, conspire.
More of a Blue's Clues thinking chair.
Oh, think.
Ladies and gentlemen, right this way to the Hall of Conspiracy.
Okay, we see when Stan is wearing the truth teeth that makes him tell the truth. He's attempting to file his taxes, but all he is capable of doing with the truth teeth on is writing over the entire form, over every box, blocking out the paper in red ink. I have committed tax fraud. Now, in the upper right, it says 2012. Ask Little Dude on Tumblr believes that confirms the show takes place in 2012. But you don't do your taxes for the year it is. You don't know all of your expenses and income until after December. Like, what if you made a great deal of money on December 31st? That would be missing. So, taxes are filed for the previous year. This episode came out in 2013.
I guess you could make the argument that Stan knows he's going to commit tax fraud every year, but also, would you even have access to tax forms that say the current year on it?
I don't think tax forms say the year on it. I don't think that's part of it. I think you have to fill that out.
Yeah. Well, then maybe it's a completely different number. Maybe we're just assuming that it's the year.
This is Form 2012.
Yeah, because wouldn't you write the year yourself?
Yeah, you write the year.
It would be a waste of resources to have to create a new form template every year.
Miscellaneous income is a 1099, so he is filling out a
2012.
A 2012. I don't know what a 2012 is for. Tourist traps, let's say. This is a separate form for Oregon. They have a tourist trap specific form.
Yeah. See, this is what we have to theorize about in episodes that don't have much lore.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show how dedicated these fans are. So we have the TV Tropes Wild Mass Guesses page, talks about this episode and theorizes that Dipper, Mabel, Seuss, and Stan are in a different dimension now. that they traveled to a whole different dimension when they went through the hole in Bottomless Pit.
What are you talking about, Honey Pants? It was Honey Pence all this time.
Honey Pence?
It's a different universe, so the spelling of the bear's name changed.
Yeah, okay, I completely missed your bit. Yeah, they ended up in the Berenstain universe, because at the end of the episode, they fall into a white void, and then pop right back out the top of the pit. Dipper points out that no time has passed and thinks maybe it's a wormhole, and so here on TV Tropes, they are theorizing that the Stan who's with them now would not be the real Stan because he fell twice through the hole.
Oh, and that's Disney's excuse to fire Alex Hirsch.
Well, they still have a Seuss.
Well, that's gonna be you. When you met Alex Hirsch, he told you, "That's a great Seuss voice. Don't tell Disney you could do it, or I might get fired."
That's true, he did. Yeah. So this is I'm interested in that idea. It reminds me of what they do on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Pretty close to the beginning of the first season, where they travel to a different timeline, and then the rest of the show takes place there.
We're in 2013, ain't that the Rick and Morty premiere year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, soon these are going to be one interconnected fandom that gradually loves one more and hates the other more.
Like a parent with two children.
Yeah, like the ending of The Good Son, and then she throws Rick and Morty off the cliff.
Macaulay Culkin is Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
So the cryptogram, we have a new backwards message in the intro.
So this time, the theme song ends with, which played backwards is 26 letters.
So now, all the cryptograms are numerical, and the A1Z26 cipher is how you decode them. And this week it says, next up, Footbot 2, Grunkle's Revenge.
I never noticed I just always read it as revenge every time
revenge?
Up until now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is not a sequel to Grunkle Stan Wins the Football Bowl. There must have been a Footbot spin-off, and this is the sequel to Footbot, kind of like Creed to Rocky.
And then it also ties in with Grumble's Revenge, the game we played 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ella, if you...
Me?
Want to find more episodes of this podcast...
This one right here?
Yeah, you can go to our host network, pipedreampodcasts.com.
Ah.
And that's not all you can find there, because there are other podcasts on that network, Ella. There's How Did This Not Get Made? About movies that weren't made, but were about to be.
Oh, and sort of the how all that happened.
Yeah. And come on, Fuhuqua Pods, which goes through Homestar Runner in release order, which the listeners are going to have to listen to eventually, because... I ain't gonna stop talking about Matt Chapman. Oh boy, next week am I gonna. And Escape from Vault Disney, which Tony Goldmark has a randomizer that picks selections from the Disney Plus service.
Oh, you mean Tony Goldmark from our Time Traveler's Pig episode? Yeah.
That's correct. And another great thing you can find on that website is not just our podcast, but all the stuff tied in with it.
Oh, yes.
The Twitter, the Discord server.
Oh, yeah, the email, mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew about that stuff.
Yeah.
So, thanks to Brian for making the instrumental for our theme song and voicing Stan in the Hall of Conspiracies intro. Thanks to Sim and the Dim Bulb V2-0 for making the instrumental of the Hall of Conspiracies intro. And, thank you to me for being me, and thank you to you, Charlie,
for being you.
You're me?
What?
But if I'm me, and you're me...
Who's driving the car?
Honey Pants! Take me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already packed, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in Gravity Falls.
I love the Seuss impression. Don't tell Disney you can do it or I'll be fired.